Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to F122 My Team Career Mode for Season 6 Austria. This is the first of two sprint races of this season. Wow. What a season this has been so far. Lando Norris leads the championship by 20 points over us. We have not led the championship since Bahrain. And unfortunately, we had a bit of a rough start to the actual championship battle. DNFing out of Saudi Arabia and then having some issues through the next few races. But we came back, had an amazing run in Monaco, winning the race, having an amazing strategy, just missing out on Baku with a intense battle with Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll, and winning in Canada to push us to only 11 points within Lando. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a road bump in Britain with the two British drivers of Lando and George coming through to take a British 1-2 in the British Grand Prix in both the qualifying and the actual race, which put Lando back up to 20 points ahead of us. But yeah, P2 in Britain, it was still good. I accept it. So now we're only 20 points. And with this race included 13 races left, there is still a big chance that we can win this championship. I told myself at the beginning of the season and before recording every video that every single time there is a chance that I may not win the championship this season. Lando is definitely a formidable opponent, and I respect him as a teammate and a title rival. I tell myself every time I think about it, he is going to be the toughest challenge yet. So that is the emergence of Lando Norris. With that, I think it's time for me to stop rambling on and for you guys to head to qualifying. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. Okay, this is bad. I don't even have the right controls on. Why do I not have this? Why is it not like this? This is... No. That's unfortunate. Hang on, guys. Shoot. This does mean I'm going to have to... I don't... man, that's unfortunate. Alright, now I have the right thing going for me. Okay, what is going on with the assists? What is going on with this? I haven't played this game in a while. But I shouldn't be this bad. Okay. Pole position for the sprint. Oh my god. Here we go for the sprint. 6 laps here in Austria. It's lights out. And away we go to decide the starting grid for Sunday. Charles Leclerc with a kamikaze dive bomb. Jesus. Oh my goodness. What a dive bomb from the Ferrari. I'm really misjudging some of these braking zones here. Here comes the Ferrari now. And around the outside he goes. He's trying to make it stick. Charles Leclerc does make it stick. Charles Leclerc is now ahead. Out in front and ahead in the sprint. But our main man that we're trying to beat here is our teammate. He's the one who's ahead of us in the championship. Leclerc, he's a little ways back. I don't really care about Charles all that much in the title fight. Here we go. I want that inside, but Charles Leclerc is going to force us the long way round. He hops the curb. I don't know how he's not penalized for that. I'm massively misjudging these, misjudging and overjudging these brake zones. Haven't played this game in a while. I took a little bit of a break from it. Coming back, I probably should have taken some practice laps, but unfortunately it was raining in the practices. Oh, making a bit of a dive on Charles. And we do get past Leclerc. Norris is also going to try and squeeze his way past the Ferrari. He does get past the Ferrari, and we're up into the lead of the sprint once more. On lap 3. Now, it's all about our teammate Norris, who followed us through on Leclerc and was able to get past the Ferrari, and even the Red Bull of George Russell gets past the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris with the new fastest lap of the race. Oh, big lockup. Big lockup from us, and that's going to give Lando all the confidence he needs to push up into the lead of this sprint. However, we'll have DRS, but is it good enough to chase after Norris? Not able to go for a dive bomb in that corner. I was too scared to. Anyways, so I wasn't going to. Man. Here we come, down the main straight, with DRS, Lando, new fastest lap of the race. However, into turn 1, we're going to force our way down and back into the lead here in Austria for the sprint on Saturday. However, here he comes again. We're going... I don't want to give him this inside line. Oh no! Teammates collide! Teammates collide in Austria. Teammates collide in Austria, and that is going to be the end of our hopes for any points in the sprint. George Russell takes over the race, the sprint lead. And that is really upsetting. So we lose the car again. Tires are just way too hot now. Oh man. That is the end of our sprint. There is no way for us to get back up there. Teammates collide. We're going to be down on the second to last starting grid position in P21. So we go wide in the corner once more. George Russell is going to win the sprint to take, and he will start on in first on in the race on Sunday. George Russell wins the Austrian sprint. Good memories coming back to George Russell, I am sure, as he did win this race last year, the actual Grand Prix. So let's see what he can do in the Grand Prix tomorrow. Here we go. For the actual Grand Prix, it's lights out and away we go from P20, because our first ever teammate, who actually had a cracking start, Dan Ticktum, actually had grid penalties. So he went down, he went from, well, he wasn't much further ahead of us. Daniel Ricciardo also with grid penalties. A lot of drivers with grid penalties, it would seem. George Russell still leads this race. So good for Red Bull, leading their home Grand Prix. Don't normally see people making moves there. But we make one stick! Oh no! Pierre Gasly, what are you doing, man? The Haas of Vitz brake tested me, and then the AlphaTauri of Gasly, who we overtook fair and square, just spun me right around. Now just trying to overtake the other AlphaTauri of Théo Pourchaire. Lando was overtaken by one of the, was actually behind both Ferraris after the start. He has re-overtaken, I believe that's Felipe Drugovich. I can see that it is Lance Stroll who has overtaken Charles Leclerc on the start. Charles Leclerc loses out P2 at the start to Lance Stroll. Stroll still looking for his first race win in the series. So we move up into P10 now with a dive bomb on Zhou Guanyu, now trying to size up a move on Jehan Daruvala in the second Red Bull. Alexander Albon flying high for Alpine, flying high in a position they aren't normally in these past few seasons. Alpine has actually been upgrading as of late, so perhaps they'll be able to catch up with the top 5 teams. It was Felipe Drugovich that had jumped Lando, but Lando had gotten back ahead of. We are up to P7 now. Ironically, that is the race number that I normally race with when I'm not racing the number 1. However, only having to race that number in 2 separate seasons. In season 1, as it was obviously the first ever season, so I was not a champion at that time. And then season 3, after Dan Ticktum beat us out of the title in season 2. Up to P5 now as we overtake Felipe Drugovich, and look at this. Lando Norris. I oughta. So we dive bomb him again. I absolutely oughta. Lando. I cannot believe you. You know that? Now let's see what I can do with Leclerc. He forces us the long way around. But instead of keeping the position, he actually loses the position. And it allowed us to go right around the outside of Lance Stroll, which I will gladly take after Baku. Now, with a good run out of the final corner on George Russell in the Red Bull here in Austria, on lap 5 of 18, back up to the front, where this car should definitely be. Charles Leclerc trying to make a move on Lance Stroll as we just ever so locked up into the third corner. Going up the hill. Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll continuously swapping positions. Tires feel pretty good. They really do. What a drive, honestly. That was a really good drive up the field. We're actually pulling away, too, from George Russell. So, keeping the momentum going from Canada 2 rounds ago. Silverstone, I was always expecting Lando and George to kind of just outplay me in Silverstone in Great Britain. But here in Austria, this is my territory over the AI. So I was expecting to be able to punch back, and well, I wasn't expecting I would have to punch back to a 25-point gap, but sometimes those kind of things happen in Formula 1. Called unpredictable for a reason. Hitting this time. Going to be boxing this lap. But you know what I'm gonna do actually is I'm going to actually sabotage Lando for what he did on Saturday in the sprint, because I took a look at it, and I actually have a short now on my channel that I posted a while ago of me actually going and showing what the collision was like, and you could see it. Lando just went for a gap that was not there, and he took the two of us effectively out of contention for the sprint race win. So we go into the pits. We go. I decided against it. Here we go. We pit for new medium tires. Now we're away. We're going to come out ahead of the second McLaren of Schwartzman. However, Robert Schwartzman has DRS on us. He'll going to force him the long way around. If he wants to get around us, he will not be able to get around us. And we keep the P4 for the time being. However, here comes Robert Schwartzman again. He's going once again be forced the long way around. And I do believe now we have successfully maintained the P4 from the McLaren of Robert Schwartzman. Lando pits. Now, Oscar Piastri. He was running so high, too, in that Williams. Unfortunately, just couldn't bring it to the end of the race, it would seem. So Lance Stroll does pit. Does the undercut work for Charles Leclerc? Yes, it does. Charles Leclerc comes out, and he's ahead of Lance Stroll. However, Stroll tries to come back at him. However, that should, in real life, be a penalty because he overtook in the yellow flags, I do believe. So he gives the place back to Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc back up to P3. This is honestly my favorite circuit on the game at the moment. I don't see any other track that I do better than Austria, and of course we have the best car on the grid, so very good mixture there. Favorite track on the game and best car on the grid. Definitely very good mixture, and I would say that is what is giving us a chance to do what we're doing right now, leading by 14.5 seconds over George Russell with only coming to 8 laps to go. Now 15 seconds the gap. as we set a new fastest lap of the race. 1:06.9. Charles Leclerc now trying to defend the P3 from Lando Norris. Norris now attacking Charles Leclerc, his old sparring partner. Lando's old sparring partner of George Russell, further up, just a little further up the road of him. Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris have history of each other, of course. Those were the good old days. Of course, now they're fighting for Formula 1 World Championships and not the F2 World Championship. As that fight continues to go on, as Lance Stroll is actually trying to become part of it now, it's allowing George Russell to just ever so slightly drive off into the distance. Just ever so slightly. And it's also helping us a lot to drive away from them as well. As we continue to set new fastest lap of the race. Now 6 laps to go here in Austria. DRS assistance. Lando Norris does get past Charles Leclerc. However, Charles Leclerc will have the second bite of the cherry with the third DRS zone. Will he be able to re-overtake Lando? No, he won't. So I do believe now that Lando has taken that P3 away. Whoa, big slide. Whoo! Big slide there for us as we hit the 5 lap to go mark as we lock up into turn 3. Oh man, that was a big slide. That's why you always have to be at the ready with the steering. You never know when the car might snap into oversteer, understeer, just into a random slide for some unknown reason. Perfect. We're good on fuel. Oh boy. Yeah, like, I'm worried about that. Technically, we can pit again and we'd still be in first to get rid of the frickin' penalty. So, 3-second penalty. Not much of an issue because we are 29.5 seconds ahead of George Russell. Wait, what? Okay, that's a huge amount. So yeah. That just goes to show that we do have the better car. As we are approaching the slower lap traffic now, Looks like the Aston Martin of maybe Richard Verschoor, and then the only Williams car in this race of Dan Ticktum. The Aston Martin car ignoring blue flags. That should be a nice little penalty there. And same with the Williams of Dan Ticktum. Not sure what's exactly going on there, but I feel like the team should be getting after the FIA here, because, yeah, that's not right. They're ignoring blue flags. They were ignoring blue flags, so I don't know what's going on there. Less than 3 laps to go now. And Lando is actually starting to reel in George Russell. However, is there enough laps in the race for Lando to try and make the move on George? That battle is also critical for us, because we currently will be scoring 11 more points than tell the frickin' stewards to give these guys penalties for ignoring blue flags. They're ignoring blue flags. 2 laps to go now. Right now, we'll be scoring 11 points more than Lando, and that would be really helpful in the championship. I'm really running this fuel down. Not that it really matters, but yeah. Coming up on the 2 Saubers now, the 2 Alfa Romeos, and in 2026 they will become the Audis. Currently driven by F1 sophomore driver Zhou Guanyu, and I wouldn't say seasoned veteran, but definitely seasoned driver of Valtteri Bottas. So we hit the final lap of the race now. Come on, George. Hold on. Hold on to the spot. What a comeback drive this has been. Fantastic strategy. Amazing car, amazing driving. At least I can say so myself. So we come through the final corner now. You know what? I'm going to be a little cocky here. Where's the line? I'm going to be a little cocky. Do a little burnout. Just a little celebration for 55 Grand Prix wins. What a drive. What a drive. It was definitely a critical win. We gain 11 points on our teammate. What a drive. We stand on the top step of the podium for the 55th time. And that now means we are only 99. Nope, that's not right. 59, sorry. 59 race wins away from beating Lewis Hamilton's F1 win record of 103 races. We can do it. We can do it. I'm sure we can.
Focus on the driver of the day, Ashley Davidson. Who do you pick? I have to give it to Martin. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential. Let's move on to the constructors. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, with that, we are now only 14 points behind our teammate of Lando Norris. In the Constructors' Championship, we pulled to 93 points ahead of Ferrari. Red Bull still up in P3, despite having a rather poor race from Jehan Daruvula. Poor race weekend, only managing to score 1 point. However, George Russell, what a good drive from George Russell to finish. What a good race weekend. He scores 26 points. We scored 26 points as well after winning the Grand Prix and receiving the fastest lap. Wow. What a race weekend. Thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.